Welcome back. This is Signature Morning. It's 9:35. So, like I mentioned earlier, we were speaking about the information technology of infrastructure across the Southeast. So we have with us in the studio engineer Nzube Ndiokwelu. He is an IT expert and a practitioner. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you very much.
How do you do?
I'm very much fine.
How do you describe IT infrastructure generally, the state of the IT infrastructure in the Southeast as it stands right now?
I feel we would analyze it in multiple ways. First of all, take a look at what we have, and then we realize that when we talk about IT, the different components towards the infrastructure that exists. So for example, when we talk about communications, we're looking at the right-of-way infrastructure, which has actually been making progress. So many states waived their right-of-way over the couple of years to enable different infrastructure companies to actually ramp up the infrastructure of those states, and some other states are actually adopting different types of approaches towards their infrastructure. So, and then also another way you could actually take a look on infrastructure in the different concepts and take a look at what companies are actually really building and deploying for other innovations to be built on top of the existing infrastructure which they provide.
Right. What drives growth of IT in the region generally?
Well, first of all, you would basically say that the IT growth is actually driven by core builders and existing players in the region. You basically find that experience will tell you that it has been those that have actually provided value, been in the region, and have actually been able to take a look at the different challenges and the different opportunities, and they actually bring in different organizations or partner with different private sector and public sector to actually increase the level or depth of the infrastructure or penetration of whatever technology that exists. So basically it has been those within the ecosystem that have really done a whole lot more.
So if I get you right, the location really doesn't matter?
No.
It's about the people who are there?
Yes. At each and every single time, you can always take a look and see, over years, you would find that the consistent names that have been at the forefront of actual, pushing this innovation or pushing the drive, because they actually have, you need your evangelists. So most likely you can have different people come and go, but as much as people come and go, those that are actually being present, we can actually take a look back and say, certain people made the difference and led this. So for example, we track football and then we say that this was the coach in this era and this coach brought this win. If we actually take a modular approach towards analyzing the ecosystem, you would realize that there are actually strong people standing out that are actually behind the entire concept. So having a better holistic approach or look towards what is going on in the industry will give you a clearer picture without just saying, okay, there's an infrastructure, but this infrastructure was attracted by somebody behind this. And those people may come and go, and they raise new people to actually take over and build on top of that. So there's a bigger story to it.
What do companies look out for in order to establish an IT infrastructure for people in a particular region?
First of all, the state of technology matters.
In that place?
Yes, so the current state of technology always determines what you would get. So let's say for right now, you have the most thriving part of technology right now is in robotics or in embedded systems or in Web3, which is blockchain technology or biotech. And if you take a look at the different technologies that exist, some allow you attract investment to your locality, some allow you offer knowledge exchange programs, and then those determine what can be attracted. So those that are actually in the industry would take a look and say, okay, this is the current state of technology, this is the current state of progress, and that innovation is moving to this side. And so because innovation is heading towards this side, if we are aligned towards this direction, we can bring certain wins to our people. So because we are actually trying to catch up on the technology game. So when we catch up, then we can scale and accelerate progress in the society.
When you say we are trying to catch up. What regions are the best or the highest in terms of penetration?
And
where are we?
In Nigeria or in the southeast?
In Nigeria. Where's the southeast in Nigeria?
Well, the south is actually at the forefront of technology right now.
Okay.
It doesn't always look at it, but because technology always has cycles. And in the technological cycle, you take a look at, okay, we might have lagged off in the previous cycle. And in this new cycle, where are we? Because it's not a question of thinking that we're going to be last forever, no, or that we fell off forever, no. So at this new era of Internet 4.0 or Innovation 4.0, where you have Internet of Things, you have blockchain systems, I would be quite frank in telling you that Enugu State is quite at the southeast is actually quite at the forefront. If you take a look at the different innovation hubs from Onitsha to Anambra to Aba to Enugu and Abakaliki, there are innovation hubs springing up from every system. I've seen embedded systems and robotics from every era.
So what challenges would you say mitigate against the development of IT infrastructure?
Government's posture, this plays a very huge role.
Government should be providing enabling environment for this growth, but
it's not always, like I said, individual. There's not. I don't always. My experience tells me government has a fist behind it, and it's just a human like you and I. And it depends on the exposure or understanding of the person in that particular role at that moment. And opportunities come and go. And like I say, technology works in cycles. We could have missed a cycle because somebody wasn't so knowledgeable about something that was coming and wasn't able to quickly align the policy direction to match what is being done by the private sector. And if we have somebody that aligns really quickly, it enables quick growth.
So you feel government policies can be hindrances to development of IT in the Southeast?
I wouldn't necessarily call it a hindrance. I would say that they do not enable the acceleration.
Okay.
Because we need to accelerate technology in our society.
So beyond government's posturing, what other things do you think can hinder the growth of IT in a particular place? Access
to funding, the ecosystem, the strength of the ecosystem. And there are so many different things that could actually hamper the growth. Like, you see, funding is something that comes really difficult to a whole lot of builders. People are enthusiastic about making a change. People want to build. People want to create systems that are sustainable. But they don't have the right funding to actually achieve these things. And it could actually hamper your ability to direct, make change with capital. And then also, the ecosystem plays a very big role. Being part of the right ecosystem determines what the network effects that you can actually get out of that ecosystem. So, for example, using, let's say, Enugu as an example, we have events that range between AI, arts, biotech, and blockchain. And when you merge these different ecosystems, it's no longer just a monotonous tech crowd. You can have somebody from AI, from arts, willing to talk to the tech guy and say, I have this idea that I have as an artist. I would love to, incorporate digital systems into what I do daily, but I don't know how to do it. But I hear about NFTs and something from your own sector. Could you help me figure out how to monetize my own products? And these are different conversations, like how ecosystems could actually lead or hamper the progress of IT in any region. And for me, these are very, very critical. So I'll list these three as my top three: government posture, the ability to actually align quickly with respect to growing trends or emerging trends, to help provide the critical infrastructure that could be needed by the private sector. There are certain things that we can do ourselves. Like, for example, we need to actually push for data security and data independence in this age of AI. Private sector-driven data projects will be very, very difficult. So you need a synergy between the government and the private sector being able to say, okay, We need to have a data independence on our own data. We can't have foreign firms, taking over our own data. So if we wish to do that, how do we do this? Do we have the right talents within the industry? Do we need to source products outside? Do we need to bring in expatriates? So these are some of the things that we can get by having a right synergy with the government. Then you also take a look at capital funding and access to capital. Then ecosystem, So having a harmonious ecosystem can actually, lead to certain things.
Do you think our educational institutions are equipped to train IT professionals?
Well, in this modern age, we need to tailor our educational systems to our current realities. That is the gospel truth. And it's not just a question of saying we need to tailor it. This should be a Marshall Plan by every single state in the region. Why do I say it should be a Marshall Plan? We have to think futuristically. We have to imagine a world that doesn't exist yet. And to imagine that world, we have to actually take a collective approach. Now, what do I mean? Imagine a world you don't have the cobblers anymore, and you don't have the hairdressers. Or the seamstress. It feels dystopian, but once upon a time, somebody could imagine a world without typists or typewriters. Now, they don't exist. And tomorrow, there will be a world where you don't actually have somebody down your street fixing your clothes, neither do you have somebody down your street fixing or mending your shoes. We will have developed systems to actually provide this, whether they are robots or hybrid agents that actually execute tasks on our behalf. This world is coming. So what do? We start today and imagine a world where in every street we have a robotic engineer and we have a blockchain developer as a proficient talent that is well dispersed across every nook and cranny, just the same way you have a cobbler and a seamstress in every street. These are people trying to earn a living using previous tools of labor, mechanical tools. Let us imagine people using digital tools in the future. And this is how we make the collective change.
So how do you think that our educational institutions should be inculcating these moves in order to mitigate or to meet the future?
We have to allow and have, people driving this change. It has to be consistent, it has to be well thought out, and it has to be followed up. It's not something that goes, it has to go beyond, we draft out a policy report. There's something that administrations that are serious do, which is they follow up on what they do. So when you say you want to achieve this dream, you get everybody on board. It's a bottom-up approach, it's a top-down approach. Everybody is working to meet each other halfway. So right from the students coming into school, they already have a vision of what they want to be in the future. The vision is no longer the traditional roles. The government adverts that what they wish to imagine the future. The government has to set that future, and then when the kids go into that school, the same way you have children going into school right now and dream to be doctors, some dream to be economists. We have to be proactive and actually meet the future ahead of us. Now, what do I mean by meeting the future ahead of us? We have to understand that whether we want it or we don't want it, any child going into school right now that is 3 years is coming out in the next 9 years about to enter secondary school education. And that child has another potentially 6 years to attend in that post-primary education. Now, the next 9 years, where is the world? That's the first thing you ask yourself. What's the current state of technology all over the world? Now, 9 years we would have accelerated, and the world would look entirely way different than we imagine right now. Now, without being ready for this future, there's no point in actually sending children into schools to come out for a world they wouldn't be ready for. Only those that have access to this new world will be able to prepare their children ready for this new world. And what do I mean by this new world? This new world is going to have bioagents, they're going to have robotics, you're going to have embedded systems, you're going to have automated systems. And you're going to have software not being written by humans anymore, and to be written by, machines themselves. And it's going to be a strange world for us if we do not, bridge the gap between technology and infrastructure and the knowledge gap. So the only way we can actually catch up or be ready for this is by dispersing the talents everywhere. So we get the children ready with robotics immediately because electric vehicles are coming. And if electric vehicles are coming, the same way we have children coming out of school right now and they go to mechanic workshops to actually learn, but they're learning for skills of the past. I drive a shift stick car, and almost everybody I know drives an electric a car that has a automatic transmission. Do you get? So if you're going into a world where you're going to have fully electric or hybrid electric vehicles, you need to have the population with the right skills. If not, we are going to keep playing catch up, because we have a skill gap. So first things first, we get serious about training everybody in these new technologies that exist. Because you see, it's when you have people playing around with these technologies in their own homes, that's where you get the visionary engineers that are in their garage. They're just playing around with different chips, different micro circuit boards, and then, from there, they actually decide to say, okay, what if I combine this and this in this method? I could develop this, and this works. But you can't have, isolated people or knowledge clusters, and then we actually expect to have ripple effects. No, we need multiple ripple effects. So every single mechanic workshop, we get every single person that's a mechanic right now, and we retool them with the right skills. They can't afford to train themselves to actually, switch to those new technologies. So with their old knowledge, they actually learn on these new technologies, and then they transfer that knowledge to the new apprentices. And that's how you roll out, something that works beyond just saying you're in the drawing board or you're in the classrooms. So you match it up with the knowledge from those going to schools and secondary schools. You start getting serious about, taking science serious. Olympiads, physics competitions. The reason is science works on merits. And we have to return our society back to merit, and returning it back to merit is what will lead us out of this.
I mean, you've said a lot of things, really. I mean, I don't know whether it's a development that we should be excited about, or it's a development that we should be skeptical about. Because even with the IT, there are people who still become skeptical about it. You could use that to distort, information if it's not used rightly. But some others still say that they're excited about it. It does look like our education will be mostly, or our educational institution as is presently constituted will be mostly moribund with the way IT is going. I mean, if I can sit in my house and type a particular topic and it gives me the project and even write it better than my lecturer, why do I have to go to school?
Nurture. There's a whole lot more beyond just going to school to cram words and cram education, The reason is these policies are set by the government. We have to take a step back and understand how education came about and why we roll out mass education. We roll out mass education because we want to have a coordinated approach towards development in the society. Now, if you want to have a coordinated approach towards development in the society, what you do is you set your policy and you tell your entire workforce and you say, this is where I want to be. And every single thing you do in that educational system achieves that to you. So you could go learn concepts, learn the maths, learn the physics, learn the theory. School could actually offer you something different. There's physical education that comes with school. There's nurture that comes with school. There's the bonding that comes with school. You create lasting bonds and it gives you a meaningful sense of purpose. These are very, very important frameworks that exist in the society. So before we try to assume that we can arbitrarily, distort them, the challenge is when you try to distort it, you realize that you end up as an outlier. And being an outlier, you don't make the change. For you to make the change, you actually have to, make sure that the system achieves the right outputs.
So are there enough opportunities for youth, for those who want to venture into information technology full-time? are there enough opportunities? Because sometimes people just narrow these things to just those who are into computer. If it's not just computer, then they are all about online and all that. But are there opportunities for several persons and several spheres of life on IT?
Yeah,
what are those?
There are tremendous opportunities that exist for anyone in actual tech, because there's a division between tech. There's Web 2 and there's Web 3. And this division is not like a core division or an ideological division, no. What this is an era. The same way I talk about cycles. You had GSM 1.0, GSM 2.0, GSM 3.0, and right now I believe we're in the 5th generation of GSM technology. So that's the same way information technology actually has those cycles. And the first cycle, it was more dormant. Capital was much more residing with the big corporations, and they were actually instrumental to helping roll out technology. Then right now we are in an abundant age where there's uncountable opportunities. All that you need is the willingness to work. And I say this with all sincerity of purpose. There's a ridiculous amount of opportunity lying out there right now. Every single week, every single day, just go online, go to the digital town square, which is X. There are tremendous opportunities. You wouldn't really believe it if I don't have enough time to actually, break down how tech exists now. The reason why I try to say it like this is, it's easy to just tell somebody there's opportunity online, there's always money. Yeah, there's money online, but how do you narrow down and have the right mindset towards it? So right now we are in an era where people are encouraged to take charge of what they do. You're no longer going to have someone direct your affairs. And if you are able to have agency over your actions, you are going to find that the opportunities exist out there for you. And if you narrow your focus towards things that are really important to you, you would find out that there are companies really, yearning, screaming, and literally saying, "Take my money and help me do this." And we need people understanding where technology is right now. And then when you understand it, you go into that sector with the mindset that it exists. And even if you don't see it this week, you see it next week. And if you see it next week, you see it next 3 weeks. And then you realize there's an abundant community of so many people looking for others. The challenge is, how do you get the message out there? You can't necessarily get everyone out there to know that there are opportunities that exist, with different protocols, different projects, and so we try our best to sensitize the public, and this is actually something that is ongoing, and it's a collaboration that has to be like a synergy between public and private sector. Driven.
But how has it been received, the opportunities so far that you've mentioned, that you're telling people? Because it does look like so many persons are not even concerned about the opportunities that are online.
It's not necessarily a system of people not being concerned. Mostly, I always tend to fall back to the analogy between the religion and the church. Oftentimes, it's more like there's a church, there's a congregation, and there's a priest, there's an evangelist. Somebody is carrying out the job of actually evangelizing to the audience. And if you have the wrong preacher carrying out the message, you could develop a cult, and it becomes something that is secretive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and if you have somebody that is genuine in what they do, it becomes something that fans the flames for everybody, and everybody gets to know about this. So I would likely say that we need quality people, championing these causes and pushing these events. And like I say, in the eastern region, there's a rise. There's something really coming. There's a huge force coming,
Absolutely.
And it's really, it's something that has been rising for the past few months.
Okay.
So there's a new movement coming up, and trust me, it's a rebirth. It's like a renaissance. So there's something that we're trying, all from different folks of, different corners. I get surprised literally meeting new people each and every single week, doing things that are incredible in their different siloed bubbles. And what we're now doing is we're now connecting everybody and creating a wider community so that we have a wider audience and a unified audience that understands that there's something new going on in technology, and that there is a growing number of people that have access to this knowledge or this skill sets that can help teach others and are willing to train others freely, so that we create a train the trainer model where I train you, you train the next person, and it's it goes like that. But these things create network effect. So I believe that within a few months you'll see the compounding effects of what is being done across different universities, across different campus groups. These are things that are actually starting at the grassroots. So they're going to keep coming up, and then perhaps, like I always say to the young ones, the older generation will catch up to what's going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Engineer Nzube. It's been an amazing time. I'm sure we're going to invite you again for more of these discussions as it relates to IT in the Southeast and across Nigeria. Thank you again. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right. Engineer Nzube Ndiokwelu is an IT expert and a practitioner, giving us an insight into IT and its status here in the Southeast and across the country. I want to say a very big thank you for being part of the broadcast today.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.